Okay, this is Delphina Bailey Nichols, and this is part two, um, uh, a follow up to my previous video from 3 days ago about how I felt that 40 prophetic ministries failed me and failed my children, and also failed thousands of other women like myself who were hardworking and getting injured on jobs and not negligent, never a drug abuser, never an alcoholic, college educated, mothers who became targets solely because they know nobody gives a shit about us and we're not going to be protected, even though we're the main women in our ethnic group who are literally not overpopulating this continent like everybody else. You got our men lying and saying that we're overpopulating this continent. You got everybody under the sun lying and saying that we're doing it. But if we follow advice from women like Cynthia G, and if we take proper measures to ensure that we no longer conceive life with any male of our own race, okay, well, who are they going to turn on when we're gone? Or damn near almost completely gone? Who are they going to turn on? They're not going to have anyone to turn on except each other if we stop birthing these men and if we stop birthing their daughters. And of course, most black women are not going to do that willingly. No. But if we go ahead and make their lie a full and complete reality by stopping the production completely, that's it. They ain't gonna have nobody's kids to steal except their own. They're not gonna have nobody to beat down, crowd out, and oppress out of nothing except literally each other if we're no longer involved in the equation. But anyway, I'm getting back to the subject. A couple days ago, I had made the video I made to talk about my experience of going to 40 prophetic ministries about a very, very serious issue that was just horrific. The worst nightmare of my life. What happened to me and what happened to my children after they injured me and took them. And by injury, I mean workplace injury. Total nightmare. So, like, when I uploaded the previous video about that, like, I had a vision while I was waiting for the upload, and in the vision, I saw the silhouette of a man with a shaved head. Like, his head is either shaved or low cut in a fade. And he's like a medium built kind of guy. He's not super muscular, not super skinny either, kind of medium built. And like, he's standing in blue light with a bright white light behind him in the distance. And in like his left hand, his right hand, it's my left, but his right hand, he was like holding several lion tails. And in his left hand, he was holding some kind of cylinder shaped thing. And I couldn't really tell what it was. Because it was like a silhouette kind of thing. But yeah, that's the kind of man I had a vision of, when I was uploading my previous video on this subject. And then, like, the day after my video posted, I was like really surprised that a very toxic and very dysfunctional black relationships counselor with 0 qualifications, he died. He died the next day after my upload on Israel Independence Day. And not only was this guy not qualified to be advising black men in degrading black women, but he just had no qualifications to be a relationship counselor. He was maligning black women, calling black women big Shirleys. But yet when he died this week on Israel Independence Day, he died having a heart attack on top of an obese plus size Latina who had the same body type and to a very great extent the same facial type as a black woman who he maligned, who was built the same way, had the same body, damn near almost the same face. The only difference is black women just didn't have straight hair. So here he had called this black woman average at best, called her and many others Big Shirley. And then he died on top of a Mexican who had the same type of body that they have and damn near almost the same fucking face. You know, call it irony. But I'm wondering if the man who I couldn't really see his face, kind of like in that part of the Bible where it talks about Jacob wrestling God or wrestling an angel or something, and it just looked like a silhouette or a shadow or whatever. It almost kind of looked like that, except very blue. Not black, but it was blue. And like shadows are not blue, shadows are black. So I can't say this was a shadow of a man. This is like a blue form of a man, kind of, I guess. You know, the shadows are not blue. That's not the right word. But anyway, I'm thinking maybe that might have been an angel. Maybe that might have been a mortal man who has a prophetic anointing. I'm not really sure which one. The only thing I know is that maybe that vision I had while uploading my video the day before Kevin Samuels died, maybe that could have been like an angel or something. And like with him having several lion tails in his hand, you know, maybe that was symbolic of him finally moving forward to deal with a lot of these black men who are just so toxic and dysfunctional and treasonous and just, it'd be better coming from other women than coming from me. Because I've heard a lot of consistency in what a lot of women of color, black women have been saying. And I believe them. And I don't believe it's necessary for them to be Pan-African culture Nazis, because the truth is that our ecosystems are collapsing. We don't need to choose the men of color who need more mates, the men of any race who need more mates and who need the mass incarceration, who need the genocide of other men. You know, the men who need all that death and destruction to make sure they have enough females surrounding them at all times. Those same men who who's not guaranteed, where it's not guaranteed that they won't impregnate their own daughter. Even if they have 10 wives, they might still impregnate their own child. You know, those kind of men, no matter what color they are, we don't need to have children with them. And this, and we need to be more careful to be sure that we don't breed with them, because we don't need more of that moving forward, as we're quickly moving towards an ecological crisis that affects all nations. And the people who are not from the American Black ethnic group, these people from these different ethnic groups that outnumber us, who you think they're going to be trying to kill first when all those mega farm soils get depleted, when the beehive colony collapse issue gets worse and they ain't got nothing to eat? Who you think they're going to be trying to kill and rob and force out of homes first because they done bred like ants and had too many fucking kids? We already know that Africans, as a whole, have never truly accepted us. We're not truly fully accepted in the Native American community either, even though a lot of us do have Native ancestry. When you do the math on my DNA results, I'm 1/8 Native American. But yet my whole family, and also reservation Indians too, they'll sit there saying, oh, you're not valid, you don't count, but that mestizo over there with a lot of ancestry from Europe does. So like we're in a really vulnerable position as people move closer to famine because we're not overpopulating. We're not producing most of the babies. We're less than 12% of the population because a lot of African foreigners have been replacing us. We're not acceptable to most African women. We're not acceptable to most Native women on reservations who have a lot of European ancestry, like on all sides. We're not fully acceptable in Israel for those of us who have Hebrew ancestry as well. We're sitting here, we're in this spot. We have this position where the overwhelming majority of us have no one on our side, including our men. And I know of most Black women from an ethnic background similar to mine. I know most of them will disagree with me when I say that we literally need divine intervention because we literally will be the first ones to get mass murdered, crowded out, and forced to be some diseased, narcissistic assholes, concubines, or dead. We'd be the main ones, the first ones to get targeted for that without divine intervention. So we really need that because the main people who need to stop having kids and need to slow down on having way too many children, they are not going to do that willingly. They're going to continue lying and saying that it's us, that we're the problem, so that they can look like heroes and look justified when they come to kill us or steal our children or to kill our kids. That this is the reality of human politics. It's not solely just Africans who do that. Everybody does it. Like I know for a fact that if we do not have the level of protection that like Moses and his wife Zipporah had, if we don't have the level of protection that Sarai, the wife of Abraham, had, we are literally not going to survive the other ethnic groups pushing the mega farms and to the point where they cannot produce anymore. Like we need that, like that higher level intervention, because for the most part, a lot of us, we do try to do right. We do, but nobody speaks up for us. Most of the time, nobody does. You have the only people speaking up for us 9 times out of 10, it's other women who come from a similar ethnic background. And, like I said, we are in reality, in real life, we are not fully accepted among African women. We're not. I was married to an African for 5 years. They don't see us as no damn Africans. Those women don't want us having anything from their men, period. Just like most white women. Just like most white women don't want us having anything from our men or theirs either. African ladies, same thing. Most Indian women from the reservation, most of them, same thing. We cannot turn to our men 9 times out of 10 in this disaster. We need a higher power. And the spirit or person, I'm not sure, whatever he is, that I saw in a vision the day before Black influencer Kevin Samuels died, whoever or whatever he is, maybe he might be a sign that the higher level protection, like what Moses and Zipporah and Sarai had in the Bible, maybe it might be possible for more of us to have that, because without it, we're not going to survive the worst things to come in a decent way. And that's a painful thing, where you're 30 years old, you only have one child, And then they take your one baby at 30 years old and give them to an unemployed housewife with 6 kids. We're looking at that kind of scenario, people doing it just to get a check. We're looking at food shortages. We're looking at the jet stream that's going to gradually be moving north. Gradually moving further north over time. We're going to be looking at northern, predominantly white communities who are not going to want any refugees who are not white. We're going to be looking at northern communities who might try to kick you out of your home and tell your ass to leave because white refugees displaced by climate change, they need a house. So they're going to take your house and your job. See, this is the real price that we're going to have to pay as a society. Only just a small part of the price we'll have to pay if we don't get this climate change and also the overpopulation issue under control now, instead of continuing the tradition of lying and saying that we're doing it, because we're not fucking doing it. A lot of us American Black women, not the recent ones brought over from Africa to replace us in a lot of cities, but you know, the ones who have roots from here, we have not been birthing those tsunamis of female children. Most of us have not. Even a lot of my darker skinned cousins back home, a lot of them don't even have daughters. We're not over here breeding like ants. Like, and we're the most vulnerable to being hurt, the most vulnerable to having everything taken from us, including our families, while everybody else is refusing to stop. You know, if that was an angel who I saw in my vision before Black influencer Kevin Samuels died, then maybe we need more of what he might do across the board among all 4 races moving forward.